In this video we will be looking at a scenario where the Dutch Empire wins World War IV. We start off with the invasion of the Dutch by the square team. Initially the communists will do very well against the Dutch Empire. They have the element of surprise and the Dutch team is not yet mobilized. A couple of weeks after the war starts we see the Dutch team making Poland their priority, attempting to knock them out of war first. Due to this decision the Romans will be able to continue their advancements and capture more territory. The Farmers' Union will continue to make advancements but the Poles will suffer defeats and be fully kicked out of the Dutch team and invaded further. With the help of Dutch troops, the fascist northern France will push back its southern counterpart, retaking their capital. The Norwegians will have continued success pushing into the Dutch team, taking more land in major cities. The Dutch team will have a lot of success with Poland and the Farmers' Union. They push the Farmers' Union back and near Poland's capital. A crucial event now takes place. The Holy Russian Empire votes to join the war on the side of the fascists. The fascist and dictatorship countries voted yes while the communist and democratic countries voted no. The communists will leave the Holy Russian Empire, THRE alliance collapses and the communists will join on the side of the square team. The fascists will push into Poland in the Farmers' Union while the dark blue team will start an invasion of the light green and light pink country. The pink team will also make a push into the blue country. The Dutch team's success will continue in the east, the capital of Poland falls and the Farmers' Union gets fully kicked out of their territory. The dark blue team fully occupy the light pink country and push into the light green country. The yellow team maybes a small invasion into the pink country while the light blue and light green countries move further into Poland in Farmers' Union. Back to Western Europe we see the Romans in the southern French country getting pushed back. Southern France's capital is near occupation and Rome is starting to lose ground. The Poles fought hard but they couldn't fight back against the Russians and Dutch and collapsed. This is brilliant for the Dutch as they can now reinforce other fronts while Green Russia can fight back against Dark Blue Russia better. Despite the loss of the Poland the Norwegians' morale seems higher than ever and the Norwegian military manages to capture two more major cities. The Dutch team start a huge offensive into Eastern Europe. They push into the Dutch team from Poland and they fully kick out the Romans. However the Farmers' Union fully kicks out the light blue Russian country. The Dutch country manages to push back the Norwegians, reclaiming two major cities and almost liberating the other two. The Romans, Galicians and the southern French go through with an operation that fully pushes the northern French back to the north of themselves. The Dutch get pushed back in their own territory as well. The Romans restart their offensive in the east of the Dutch Empire in a move the Dutch didn't expect. Now we see what seems to be the beginning of the end for the Farmers' Union. They face invasion from three countries. This is too much for them to handle and they pray for a miracle, which they will get. The Greeks and the Orange Bulgarian country join the square team. The Greeks decide they want to sit back and watch fascism take over Europe. They don't like the Farmers' Union too much either but they would rather them than the Dutch team. With the arrival of Greek and Bulgarian troops, the Russian countries and the Dutch are pushed back and much of the Farmers' Union was liberated. The Dutch team pushes the Romans back into their country and starts their own invasion into the Rome for the first time in the war. Norway launches a counteroffensive and captures two major Dutch cities. They do this in order to try and relieve Rome of some stress. Things seem to be going better and better for the Farmers' Union. They fully push out the Russian countries from their country and start a push into the light blue Russian nation and push back the Dutch. Looking back to the Holy Russian Empire, the green team pushes back the dark blue country while the pink team continue to push in and push out the yellow country. The Dutch launch an offensive with the northern French and push back the square team to where almost all of France is liberated and the Romans are pushed to their border. The Romans liberate their land in the center of the front line, however the Dutch see huge success against Norway, almost fully pushing them out. The light green country pushed the dark blue Russian country into their territory. The light pink team is liberated and the light blue team starts an invasion while the pink team pushes deeper and makes advancements into the yellow Russian country. The Dutch have more success against Norway and fully push them out of their country and chase them into the Danish peninsula. The Dutch team launches a huge offensive into Rome. They push in from two areas and help northern France push into southern France and make an incursion into Rome. Greek forces are being diverted to Rome in order to help them defend against the Dutch so the Farmers' Union will see invasion. Rome desperately pleads for Norway to launch an offensive into the Dutch Empire. The Norwegian army's morale has been decreasing and their counter-offensive doesn't reach the effectivity wanted by the Romans. A combined force of Roman and Greek troops launch a counter-attack against the Dutch. They make a pretty big pushback but can't fully kick out the Dutch. This counterattack also takes place southern France. The square team forces manage to push back the southern French but they don't have the strength to go all the way. The pink team pushes further into both the dark blue team and the yellow country. The light blue team starts an invasion into the yellow country and pushes into their blue counterpart while the green team pushes further. The Farmers' Union is once again in need of a miracle. The Russians and Dutch are closing in on them and their capital is under threat. They will get lucky and a new country joins the war. The gold Ukrainian country will join the war in the name of preserving democracy across Europe. The gold team will push into the light blue Russian country, causing them to pull troops out of the Farmers' Union. The Dutch country will do very well against the Norwegians, who are now facing instability issues. The Romans will mostly kick the brown team out of their country and start their own invasion once more. The dark blue team will get pushed back by the pink and light green team, however they do see some success against their light blue counterpart. The gold team will push deeper into light blue territory. The Dutch team pushes to Bulgaria and makes advancements into them, cutting the Farmers' Union directly off from Rome. Rome also sees invasion by the Dutch in the Balkans. The Dutch start a new offensive into southern France. Their goal is to knock the Galicians and southern French out of the war. The pink and light green team will push further into the dark blue country, capturing the capital and the country falls. Their forces will be directed towards Ukraine, where they will start to see pushback. The Dutch team, in cooperation with Russia, will launch an offensive aiming to take over the Balkans. The square team will try desperately to get anyone else to join the war, but they are just unsuccessful. The southern French and Dutch forces push into Catalonia while the Romans and the Norwegians launch a joint offensive against the Dutch. They take multiple major cities, and this poses a huge threat to the Dutch Empire. The Dutch and Russians make a final offensive into the Farmers' Union. Sadly for the whole what if civilization started over fanbase, the Farmers' Union will fall. The Russian front will nearly see its end as the war turns in favor of the blue Russian country against the Crimeans, and each Russian country will make advancements into the yellow Russian country. The Dutch team will launch a huge operation into Norway. This offensive has been in preparation for months. The Dutch will push up the Danish peninsula, taking all of Denmark and making a landing Sweden, and now threatening the Norwegian homeland. The Dutch Empire launches an offensive into the Greek country, aiming to knock them out of the war to finish off the Romans. Speaking of them, they do push back the Dutch in the Balkans. Despite their desperate attempts to hold out against both the yellow Russian country and the gold Ukrainian country will collapse. The Crimean nation will get occupied by the light blue Russian country, while the yellow Russian country will get split between its fascist/dictatorship neighbors. The Dutch team will launch an offensive against the Romans and the Greeks, pushing the Greeks into Turkey while nearing their capital. The Dutch will push further Sweden, taking more major cities. On top of this, the Swedish country will have a rebellion and break away. They declare war on Norway. The Dutch Empire will start a new offensive against Rome, which will go incredible for them. They will completely push them out of their country and start making great advancements into Rome itself. The end of the war is in sight for Rome, and the Bruin team look like they will win this war. The Dutch and Swedish will cooperate in pushing more up Norway. Due to a lack of faith from the Norwegian government and a large amount of protests, Norway surrenders. Only two countries will remain to oppose the Dutch team, Rome and Greece. However, unlucky for them, they are outnumbered and exhausted from the fighting. They are out of manpower, out of resources, and their population no longer supports the war. The Dutch team and the northern French country, with the help of Russian troops, will start the final offensive against the Romans and Greeks. They will succeed, and the Square Alliance will surrender. Now we will look at a peace treaty for World War IV. We will first look at Iberia. Green France and the dark purple country are both reformed under a fascist government. Green France will also take a large portion of Galician land. The next country we will look at is Norway. They performed pretty good during the war, however they will not be let off lightly. We see the Dutch team wreaking the land they colonized long ago. We see the Swedish country getting quite a bit of a land, and a new light blue country is spat out of Norway. The next country we look at is Poland. They fell quickly compared to the other countries and will be punished severely. The Dutch team will take a lot of their western territory, while the green Russian country takes a large portion of the east of the country. Now we look at the Holy Russian Empire. A lot of the fighting took place here, and the borders will be altered entirely. We see the total destruction of the dark blue Russian country land getting taken by all its enemies. The Crimean country will get fully pushed back to the Crimean Peninsula, and the yellow Russian country will face land being stripped away from them. So now we look at the Farmers' Union, Bulgaria, and Greece. We see the Farmers' Union territory getting heavily reduced, and a fascist government is put in charge. Bulgaria loses a little bit of land, and Greece manages to get away with it, but they are put in huge economic debt as they are forced to pay reparations while a fascist government takes over. And now we look to Rome, the second strongest country in the world, one of the oldest countries to exist, but despite all that, the Dutch team will not show mercy on them. The brown team takes much territory, takes loads of territory out of the Romans. They meet up with the Adriatic and Mediterranean Sea. We see the green French country take quite a lot of territory from the Romans and also take Corsica and Sardinia. And now we see the recreation of two countries. The Slovenian country is recreated in the Balkans, and the old Italian Union makes a return. They take over most of Rome's core land, but despite this, Rome is still allowed to exist down in southern Italy and Sardinia. So this is our new map of Europe. We see the Dutch Empire become the strongest country in the world by quite a bit, and it seems a new fascist world order will form soon. This will do it for today's scenario. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe if you want to see more Wixo content.